Hi, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Vita Luca, and today we are going to actually do a request from a subscriber where we are going to analyze the real estate markets in other cities that aren't Prague. And so he specifically requested for Brno and Karlovy, so we're going to touch on those, as well as some other cities that are nearby Prague that might be worth the extra additional drive. But anyways, if you want to see the video about Prague, you can check out the link up there. And also, I won't be directly comparing Prague to these other places because we also don't know what the job market is like in any of them. So if you do want to see this video again in the future, but for different cities, please just list the city down below that you want to see in the comment section, as well as let me know if you maybe want me to dive into the job markets of any of these cities. And those would have to be individual videos per each city, just so we don't miss anything. For the real estate, we could just lump them all in again, and I can do like a quick analyzing of the market price. Just as a disclaimer for this video, people can rent their apartments and put them up on the market for whatever price they want to. Some are willing for you to just pay their mortgage, and others are wanting to also get a benefit from it as well, and to make an additional profit on renting out their apartment. So really, people can just put their apartments for whatever prices they want on the market. Whether this means that someone will actually rent from them is a different story. And also, if you see that any of these are just completely unreasonable, you do not have to rent from them, and you can go with someone that you think is a little bit more reasonable. Also, as another note, all of these apartments I found off of Bez Realty and M&M Realty. So in my Prague video, I left places where you can go looking for apartments. A few did have Facebook Marketplace as an option for apartments in Prague. Brno is the only other place that I could find that has apartment rentals just openly up on Facebook. But of course, you can always search Marketplace. But I'm using Bez Realty and M&M Realty as my sources for these apartments. So let's just start off with Brno. So Brno is the second largest city in all of the Czech Republic. It comes in second right after Prague. And it is another good city for foreigners to live in if you don't necessarily want to live in Prague. And they do typically have jobs available for foreigners, especially companies like T-Mobile. They're also willing to make work visas for people. Though you do have to have the skills into what they're looking for. You can't just get hired with no experience. You do need to at least be able to sell yourself and the experiences that they're looking for. If you want a more in-depth review of their job market, you can let me know in the comments below. From all the other cities that I have on this list, there are no rooms available. No one's just renting and flat sharing. Then for studio apartments, they were all around the 12,000 crown mark with utilities included. So it is a little bit less than Prague, though, like I said before, people can rent their apartments for whatever they feel like. Not a lot of people know how to properly label their apartments as like 2KKs and whatnot, as well as seeing what else is on the market and whether or not theirs can actually sell for as high as they're wanting to put it at. And then a 2KK was anywhere from, again, 12,000 to 22,000 with utilities included. So yeah, and that's a one-bedroom apartment. If you're wanting to know more about the 2KK and label, video about. So 3KKs were anywhere from 18,000 to 26,000. With utilities included. And I only could find one 4KK, and it was for 23,000 with utilities included. So Brno has a market that can be described as under Prague, but also very similar to Prague. And I did a quick little job search for maybe what you can expect, and the wages are around the averages of Prague as well. So you can find something easily from anywhere from 30 to 40,000. Provided you do have the experience for it. And if you want to do management or sales, you can make more. But again, you need to have the experiences in those. For Karlovy, this is a very pretty touristy type destination in the Czech Republic. I find it's a very nice mix between nature and city. And I personally love the appearance of Karlovy. And for a studio apartment, you can expect anywhere from 6K to 13K with utilities included. For a 2KK, you can expect anywhere from 13,000 to 27,000 crowns. Now, I do have to note that 27,000 crowns was for an apartment that had a swimming pool, a gym, and a sauna inside of it. So it was more on the extreme outlier of the whole overall point. But it was on Bez Realty Key, so it doesn't have any real estate fees attached to it. Yeah, so 3KK you can expect around the 12,000 crown mark with utilities included. And for 4KKs you can expect around the 15,000 crown mark. So that 2KK that is listed for 27,000 is quite extreme in the city. So I do just want to point that out, that the real estate is typically very, very cheap here. But again, I did not analyze the wages as to if this would be something that you could reasonably live off of, even if the real estate is here. Because I find in the Czech Republic, the difference between real estate and cost of living is extremely different. And they don't always match or make sense to how much you make at your job versus how much you pay in your rent. And I did end up finding a 7KK, or at least that's what they labeled it as. They labeled it as a 6-bedroom, so I would imagine it's a 7KK. And it was for 12,000 crowns, and then you would pay 500 crowns for each additional person that lived there with you. It could be as high as 15,000 if you're going to have one person in each room, or if you want to double up on people, then it could be even more. But that's a great price. And then I also did find a house. I found a house for 25,000 crowns, and it was a 4+1. So yeah, that one apartment, again, extreme outlier. And it's because it was really, really fancy. On to Melnik. Melnik, I had to go off of Realty only, and that's just because it had a lot of cottages for sale on Bez Realty Key, and that's what it seemed mostly to be of, was just cottages and not actual apartments that they're looking for you to rent, but somewhere that you can go and stay for the summer, etc. And so with that, there wasn't very many options, and so a 1KK is roughly around 9,000 crowns. A 2KK is anywhere from 12,000 to 13.5, and there wasn't anything else after that. It was just 1KKs and 2KKs for what you could find on Realty. And this is a good location if you're willing to have a car. It's only 20 minutes from Letňany, so you could easily do a park and ride situation, but it will add on to your commute time. But it's not as far as Brno or Karlovy from Prague, which is why I decided to include it in this video. And also another option is Kladno, which is only 15 minutes from the airport. So again, you can do a park and ride situation, or, you know, if you like to leave and go to other countries, it's very, very close, and it's an additional option to living outside of Prague. Apartments here, 1KKs are anywhere from 7,200 to 12,000 crowns. 2KKs are anywhere from 8,500 to 25,500 crowns. And that's because it was a very, very nice loft-style apartment. But they labeled it as a studio, but I put it in the 1KK because it actually had a separate staircase going up onto a loft-type floor. And that's where the bedroom was. That's where they put the bed. So technically, that does make it another bedroom. A 3KK can be anywhere from 15,000 to 17,000. And 4KK is anywhere from 16,500 to 19,400. Or you could rent an entire house for 25,500. So that's also a nice other option if you don't want to live in an apartment. Kladno does have some houses available that you can rent for reasonable prices, because renting a house in Prague, yeah. I'm not even going to go there. Okay, so Tabor was another one that I could only really look at Realty for. There was a few options that I could easily see on Bez Realty Key, and then it eventually just became a bunch of cottages as well to rent. And so Tabor is a really nice location in between Prague and České Budějovice / Český Krumlov area. So if you work in either one, it could be a nice drive in between the two. But again, if you were to live in any of these cities outside of Prague, you have to commute for your job, you will most likely need a car. If your job is within that city that you're also living in, then you can rely on the public transportation / walking, because some of these aren't that big. But for the most part, if you do ever have to go into Prague, you will also need to take into consideration a car as an additional expense. And so getting the cheaper rent may not always be the best option. So with Tabor, you can get a 1KK for 6,500, a 2KK for 7,700 to 12,000, a 3KK for 9,500 to about 16,000. So a 3KK can be anywhere from 9,500 to 16,000 crowns. I unfortunately could not find any 4KK, so there's no 3-bedroom option. So if you do have a larger family, at least right now in the market, it's not the best time to be looking to live there. If you're wanting to rent. Of course, if you're wanting to buy, lots of new developments are actually being put up in a lot of these cities that I'm listing as well. So there are those options to purchasing a family home. And so for the last but not least, we're going to talk about Pardubice. And so Pardubice is about an hour away from Černý Most. And so it's another situation where you could live in Pardubice and then do like a park and ride kind of option to Prague. So like you would drive there and then you can just park and ride the metro to wherever you need to go from there. But again, all of these would add on some commute time if you do live in Prague. But if you live in Pardubice and you work in Pardubice, or you're going to school in Pardubice, then these are kind of some options for you. A 1KK is around 6,500 to 13,000. A 2KK is anywhere from 7,200 to 18,400, and that's with utilities included, at least for the 18,400 mark. A 3KK is anywhere from 11,000 crowns to 21,400. It was the 21,400 was a really nice brand new 3KK apartment. So that's kind of why it's priced a little high. It's definitely the highest on the market range there. And unfortunately, I couldn't find any 4KKs. But I did find 2 houses. There was potentially a 7KK for 24,000 crowns a month. I don't know. It stated that it was a 6-bedroom on Bez Realitiki. And it didn't have any photos of the actual inside of the house, just all of the outside. So I am not certain if it does actually have 6 rooms that could be classified as bedrooms, or if it's just a 6KK on its own, or if they just don't know how to label it. But it was like a big house with like a separate garage area that could have had an extra room or something in it. But they just didn't show the inside of the house at all, so we can't really say. And then I did also find a 3+1 house for 18,000 crowns a month. So again, you have some options in Pardubice. I know a few people that actually lived there and grew up there, and they say it's really nice. I think the cool roundabout that's out there is like really fancy. I personally love that roundabout that's near there. But yeah, so those are kind of what you can expect if you're wanting to live in another city that's outside of Prague or not Prague. And of course, if you do have to commute for your jobs outside of these cities, you will need to take in a vehicle as an additional expense. So yes, all of these places are typically cheaper to live in than Prague. But I am not certain of the job markets in any of these locations at this moment as to whether or not it translates better to actually live there, or even if you were to work in Prague and then live there, because then you have to take into way more expenses and things into consideration. And so with that, we're going to be done for today. So if you do want to see like Czech Republic, Pilsen, Ostrava, other cities, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be happy to make another compilation video of 6 more cities in one. So I will see you guys in the next one. Bye! And yeah, you can check out the video that I did about Prague, so you can make your own comparison here. And I have a Czech video playlist that you can go and view whatever videos you want to about the Czech Republic.